Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies. I'm your host, Jason Marshall. Before we get started, I got a couple of emails from people asking why there wasn't a show up this week. Well, when I said that we were going back to once a week for a while, I never said which day, which is a total cop-out because I had a busy weekend. There was a wedding. My oldest daughter was back from college. It was her birthday. There was just a lot of things going on, but we should be back on track Monday. I have a guest scheduled. I don't want to mention too much about it right now because I don't want to jinx myself for the millionth time. But if things sound a little different, I'm recording somewhere else, and we're doing it over Skype. And today my guest is an author, an actor, former pro wrestling manager of people like John Cena, Bobby Lashley, and many more. More importantly, he's my good friend who I hope to borrow a large sum of money from, Kenny Bolin. Welcome to the show.
Well, we're fucking each other because that's what I'd planned on doing with you. I was going to borrow about $50 from you so I could be able to afford to pay attention.
Well, one thing you taught me was a friend in need is no friend indeed.
Absolutely. I've lived by that for many years. If you need something, you're no friend of mine. You want to give me something, then we could talk about being friends. But other than that.
Well, one thing.
So what are you giving me today?
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about right off the top is I got some emails from listeners who wanted to know who the hell is Jim Cornette and why do we talk about him so much?
Well, that's right, because this is basically a comedy show. This is not so much a normal wrestling show. Jimmy Cornette was my childhood friend from, probably 1974 on. And now the last time I did one of these shows, my plumber showed up in the middle of the show, and it ended up getting like 97,000 downloads. Well, now, I don't know, Jimmy, what would be your technical title?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of all, jack of all trades, master of none. Are you doing bed risers first? Are you hanging shelves first?
Well,
are we putting the ceramic tile over the bathroom? What are we doing?
Well, we ain't gonna get to your risers today.
But, fuck you.
We gonna get.
Did you hear that? He shows up over here with a solemn promise. He's gonna get all my work done for me. He's going to get bed risers made. He's going to put a ceramic coating over my tub. He's going to put in a new high-pressure LED shower head. He's going to put in a new stove. I didn't even ask for that. I just think he was going to show up with one. And now he tells me, well, we're not going to get to your bed risers today there, son. What do you think of that, punk? That's basically what he just said to me. So am I going to get bookshelves today?
Yeah, you'll get.
I'm going to get bookshelves, but no bed risers. Wow. I told you not to worry about the bed risers, but here you come over here. You get my hopes up. I'm thinking the bed's going to be jacked up about 19 inches. So now I don't need a step ladder to get into bed. I can just fall in it like I normally do.
Well, the more shit you talk, the less shelves I'm going to hang.
Oh. Well, fuck me. The shelves are laying in a box on top of the air vent.
All right, gotcha.
And you might hear some hammering and screwing and just all kinds of nonsense going on in here, which I think will make it a funnier show. So, but yeah, that's James Franklin. He was at the Jim Cornette DVD recording, and we had an irritant asshole that was there. Speaking of Jim Cornette, which I think was what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I did a DVD. Jimmy and I are both famous in pro wrestling for different reasons. He got in the early 80s and was supposed to get me in. 7 years went by and it never happened, so I had to get in through other avenues. Somehow we have remained so-called best friends for, this is our 40th year.
Wow,
and,
that's a long time.
So we did a DVD together called My Buffet with Bolin because he was sure I wasn't going to live another year, and he wanted to cash in on having this DVD floating around that we sell for, I think, $16.95 on Facebook, Twitter. You contact me on Facebook to get the DVD, but it's called My Buffet with Bolin. And it's basically me and Jimmy for 2 or 3 hours just telling wrestling stories. So, yeah, if you don't follow wrestling, you probably wouldn't know who Jimmy Cornette is, but he's my childhood best friend. He got world famous in wrestling. I got regionally famous and then got some world fame thanks to DVDs and being associated with the WWE and what have you.
What the fuck is this?
Well, those are the shelves. You saw them. I've posted them on your thing, and you screw them into the wall. My daughter-in-law thought it was going to be an easy tale. Let me bring them over here. Let me see those things. Let me see these things.
I ain't never seen no shelves like that.
Well, god damn it. You just can't hire good help these days. I don't know. I think these are well, there's instructions in there somewhere, I think. Do you see them?
I hope so.
Well, I could have sworn I saw some, but I don't see them now. Huh. Right. Look in those. There's 2 boxes sitting in there that might have some instructions in them that are empty, sitting on top of the ottoman. He doesn't have a clue how to hang these Mickey Mouse shelves I ordered for like $12.
It's never a good sign when your contractor says, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, when the contractor says, "What the hell is this?" It ain't looking good. Jesus Christ. Oh well. So, but that's who Jimmy Cornette is. He got world famous in wrestling. He was in the WWE. He was in WCW. He was in TNA. He was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was his own company, which went debunked. Basically, he got fired from every job he ever had. We are intertwined. You can go to YouTube and type in Kenny Bolin and Jimmy Cornette. You can hear the great debate that was held. Oh, hell, it was 2009, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
But see, I'm not used to talking to people that I have absolutely no idea what the hell is going on about pro wrestling. This is apparently the only show that I do that's like that. And but I have a good time doing the show, and for some reason y'all think I'm funny, so what the hell?
Yeah, we love having you on. And last time you were on, you mentioned that you were going to give an exclusive story about a seafood restaurant that you had an incident at.
All right. We'll tell that story because it hadn't been told anywhere else yet, so you get the exclusive. We haven't even told this on the bowling alley yet because we were talking about more serious shit about a fundraiser I'm doing for a pro wrestler named Rico Constantino. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Clarksville Seafood has been a place that Jimmy and I have eat at since 1974. Once we became friends, that was one of the first places he wanted me to go. I was a big Kingfish fan, and he was a big Clarksville Seafood fan. Kingfish has been dominant around here on the Kentucky side on the river for quite some time. They had one just down the street from the Louisville Gardens that we ate at every Tuesday night when the wrestling shows were over. They had another one out on Dixie Highway. They had another one on River Road right on the river. And that was about it. Well, the one on 7th Street closed due to them wanting to put up some big office building in that location. So they paid them millions of dollars to go away. So that killed the 7th Street location. Well, the Dixie Highway location, because Kingfish is not a particularly cheap place to eat, well, the deep south end of Louisville is where the cheap people live. Jimmy, my contractor, he lives deep in the bowels of southern Indiana. You got a GPS can't take you to where he lives. So he might have it all figured out other than the fact that he's in Indiana. Oh, and on top of that, he's a University of Kentucky fan. So he's just living in confusion. But yeah, those deep South Enders couldn't apparently afford Kingfish because a big night out to them is going to the McDonald's and getting 4 things off the dollar menu. That's normally a big night for people on Dixie Highway. So needless to say, a $16.99 fish box for 2 wasn't exactly their thing, or going in and dining to where you're expected to tip like decent normal human beings and be served, to where your dinner for 2 might run $40 or $50 on the low end, if you don't eat the expensive seafood shit. So that Kingfish went away. So now they built one on the river on the southern side. I was the Kingfish guy. Jimmy was the Clarksville Seafood guy. The only problem with Clarksville Seafood, you had to fuck with the bridges and the traffic and all the nonsense. And now they're charging tolls of all things. We've had these bridges for fucking ever. Well, they built a new one. And I guess I can understand you charging a toll to go across that bridge. But now they're going to charge a toll to go across all of them, except for the one that goes into New Albany, because no human being in their right fucking mind would want to go to New Albany. So they figure if you want to go over there for free, we better let you, because if we charge you, ain't nobody going to go. So, and I think the 2nd Street Bridge is free, but that's probably the oldest and the smallest of all the bridges. It's barely qualified to be a walking bridge, but somehow they let cars go across it. So I'm waiting for that to make the national news one day when about 75, 80 cars fall into the Ohio because those cheap fucks don't want to pay the toll to go across the other brand new bridges. So that'll be on the news one day. So you heard it here first. When about 85 cars falls in the Ohio River, remember Kenny Bolin told you it was going to happen because that bridge is fucking old. Regardless of all the repair work being done on bridges in Louisville, you got to cross those bridges to get to Clarksville Seafood. So we go over there, and then about 9 years ago, right about when the Great Debate happened, as you know, I eat free just about every single place in Louisville that I go. Mm-hmm. Probably 30 some odd restaurants that I can just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm coming. Do you guys need anything? We'll give them autographed pictures, DVDs, books, whatever. And then normally I can bring a party of 4 in and eat anywhere I want to go. Well, the one place we were sure we couldn't do that at was Clarksville Seafood, because Clarksville Seafood was known as the fish Nazis. They were never happy. They were never a smile on their face. They treated you like shit. Scowls on their face when you got there, scowls on your face when you leave. You could speak to them. They would never speak back. We don't know how orders ever got taken. Never was a thank you ever uttered out of Clarksville Seafood. Never, not once. One time, Jim and I were in there, and we said, hey, I said, me and Jim love it here. Maybe we can work out some type of deal to where we could get some fish in exchange for advertising on our social media. Between Jimmy and I together, we probably got couple of 100,000 fans that follow us on a weekly basis, and we'll be happy to plug your seafood place. Well, the assistant manager there says, well, nah, we don't really have any interest in that. We got all the business we want. We don't need any more business. So we were told that, and I'm sitting there looking at who the fuck don't need more business? Yeah, because it wasn't like they were packed when we were in there. And I'm going, okay, well, these are a bunch of pretentious cocksuckers. So a little more time goes by, maybe another year or two, and my son says, Dad, you think you're so good. You think you're the man. He says, why don't you get on the phone and see if you can negotiate a deal for some free Clarksville Seafood? And I'm thinking, I said, are you out of your fucking mind? I said, who do you think I am? God? I said, what the hell? I said, you know what? I'm going to take you at your challenge just to prove to you that these cocksuckers have no interest in doing business with anybody. I said, I'm going to call over there, and I'm going to make an attempt at it. And once I fail, I don't want to hear any more out of you, and I don't want any ribbing me. As I do remember, because at that time we had like 27 places we ate at for free. I said, I don't want to hear no more shit out of you, and be thankful for the 27 that we have. So sure enough, I pick up the phone. I call over there. I said, hey, I said, who am I speaking with? He said, this is General Manager of Clarksville Seafood. Steve, whatever his name was. Whatever. I'm pissed at him now, so it don't matter. I call up, he picks up the phone. I said, yeah, this is Kenny Bolin. I said, me and Jimmy Cornette. Hey, how you doing? Nicest thing I've ever heard out of anybody's mouth over there ever. And going, what the fuck? I said, he's being nice. Yeah, we see you guys in here all the time, man. I appreciate your business. I said, well, it's what I'm calling you about. I said, Jimmy Cornette and I, we've got a large collection of various wrestling memorabilia, books, DVDs, CDs, what have you. Plus, that was back when I was in the bootleg movie empire as well. So I told him what all we had for trade, and would it be possible that Jimmy and I trade for dinner with you? Of course, my son will be with me. And would it be possible that we trade you for some fish dinners sometime soon? Oh, my God, Kenny, anytime, please. Love to have you. Honor to have you guys in here. I said, well, you never act like it. I said, no one ever comes up and speaks to us. No one ever says hi. No one ever says thank you. Oh, that's just kind of how we are here. No, big fans of yours. Come on over and eat anytime you like. Well, goddamn. So now Jimmy's shitting. He can't believe that we're finally going to get free Clarksville Seafood, all in exchange for some paraphernalia from us. So we go over there and we're treated like kings. Any goddamn thing we want. You name it, we're bringing it to you. And so normally we can take 4 people over there, 5, and eat any goddamn thing we want, as long as we give them a little something. And sometimes we didn't. Didn't matter. We'd make it up to them the next time. And so this goes on for the better part of 10 years. And then it turns out that Steve, I'll call him by his given name, Steve tells Jimmy, hey, I'm thinking of opening a second restaurant across the river in Louisville, and I want to put your name on it. So I was a little bit offended by that. I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. I said, this is kind of like a Pete Rose, Johnny Bench thing. Pete and Johnny hated each other for years and years because Johnny was more famous worldwide. And Pete was more famous in Cincinnati. I said, that's kind of how things are here. Jimmy's more known worldwide, but I'm more known in Louisville, Kentucky. If you're going, and plus, one of us is known for eating, even though the other one out eats the other. One of us is known for eating, and the other one just eats a lot and gets kicked out of every restaurant he's ever been in. I said, so whose name do you think ought to be on that restaurant if you want it to be a success? You want it to be me or you want it to be Jimmy?
He's also been kicked out of drive-thrus.
Oh, he's been kicked out of drive-thrus, Kroger, Walgreens, various car dealerships. He can't even take his car to get repaired in Louisville because he's been kicked out of there out of Star Ford as well. He has to drive to Lexington to get his work done because I had to patch that thing up for him. He's using my sponsors that I got in Lexington, or else he'd have nowhere to even get his maintenance work done on his vehicle. Because, as you know, Jimmy can't go anywhere without causing trouble and getting kicked out of places. So, but this is getting ready to come back and bite me in the ass. So I'm a little perturbed that he's wanting to put Jimmy's name on a restaurant and not mine. And I'm thinking, if you want to be well established in Louisville, then you put my name on the restaurant. And it wasn't going to take any money from us. They were just going to give the honor of putting our name on it. So he says, well, yeah, it does make sense. But yeah, I've kind of already promised it to Jimmy. So I'm looking at Jimmy. I said, you do realize this guy's full of shit and there ain't going to be no restaurant. I've been hearing about this restaurant for 7 years now that's coming to Louisville and it ain't came yet. I said, he's just talking shit and blowing you so you'll give him a good deal on your memorabilia that you sell him. Because he'd go over there to Jimmy's house and buy thousands of dollars worth of memorabilia. Damn. And he did it many times. So what happens is that apparently the dollars being spent on all this memorabilia was coming straight out of the till at Clarksville Seafood. Because apparently the profits were way down. The place was in danger of going out of business, which I was told several years ago that if he never sold a piece of fish for 5 years, the Clarksville would be just fine. That there was plenty of money to keep it going. And he had more or less inherited Clarksville Seafood from its original owner. The owner liked him, so Steve inherited it. So we thought that we had a lifetime deal going with Clarksville Seafood. Well, just a few weeks ago, a couple months ago maybe, I go in over there, me, my son, and his wife, and we sit down at the table and say, hey, is Steve here? No, he's not here. Well, what about Jason or whatever his name is? I can't, the actual fish Nazi. No, he's not here either. And it's some young punk I've never seen before. And I said, Steve told me he wanted some DVDs. I got some various wrestling DVDs here he wanted. And I said, I've got about $100 worth of shit here for him. I said, we were just coming over to do our trade for our fish like we do. Well, he's not here, and Steve's dad's here, and Steve's dad don't like it when he trades. I said, well, tell Steve's dad that we've been trading for the better part of 9 years now, and that I've got the merchandise here that he asked for, and that if he wants to continue trading or not, it's up to him. But we would like what Steve and I agreed upon, and we would like to have that now. We just drove here from Louisville, Kentucky to be here, and we would like our fish. So he goes back and talks to him. He says, that he had no knowledge that Steve was doing these trades. And he says, if you want fish, you'll have to pay for it. I said, well, tell Steve's dad to come on out here and talk to me for a minute. And so there's a few people in the restaurant. So here comes this old fucker out of the back, and you could just tell he's in a shit mood. So he comes up. I said, sir, me and your son have been trading, who told me he was the owner of this place. We've been trading for the better part of 9 years, and I have the merchandise here that he asked me to bring, and I've done what I was asked to do. I said, whether you like trading with me or not, I said, I would like for you to honor the deal that we just had. I said, I've got $100 worth of merchandise here, and we're looking to probably get about $40 or $50 worth of fish. He says, yeah, that's just it. He says, I didn't know that Steve was doing all this. That's why we're in the shambles that we're in. And I said, oh, really? I said, I eat over here about once every 2 months. I said, so I don't think I'm the reason that you're in a shambles. It's that I got $40 or $50 worth of fish. And I said, plus, you can give Steve a call. He will let you know. Well, I'm not calling Steve because Steve ain't the owner anymore. I am. And I said, you're the owner now. I said, okay. I said, well, are you going to honor the deal that your son made with me, or are we going to have to go elsewhere? He says, you can pay for your fish. Other than that, that's the only way you're going to get any. I said, well, I'll tell you what, you old worthless son of a bitch. I said, you come out here with all your fucking attitude and talking shit and won't honor the deal that your son made. So much for being a family-owned restaurant. I said, we will take our business elsewhere. I'll gladly go down the street and go to Kingfish, where they actually serve you with a fucking smile on their face. We'll sit out on the deck and take a look at the river and do what we can do in Indiana that you can't do in Kentucky, and that's sit on the banks of the Ohio and look into the promised land. I said, so that's what we're going to do. Shove your fucking fish up your ass. Oh, by the way, fuck you. We'll never be back here again. So we get in the car and drive, and I think Chris had a parting shot for him as we left because he was extremely rude. And so we go to Kingfish and have a lovely meal that cost us about $54 because I don't know anybody at that particular Kingfish, but I was so mad I didn't give a shit. And for me to spend $54 on food, you had to know I was really fucking mad. So, but we had a lovely night. It was finally a cool, decent night after a bunch of heat and humidity and just miserable fucking hot ass weather. So it turned out to be a lovely night on the river. I write Steve when I get home. He says, "Hey man, what's this that went down between you and my dad? I hear things got heated. Kenny, you should have gave me a heads up. What all did you tell Dad so I can come up with a story and make all this go away?" I said, "Well, speaking of a heads up, why didn't you tell me you weren't the owner anymore?" I said, "That would have been a fucking nice heads up." I said, "I've never given you a heads up. We just show up and we're taken care of because you told your staff to take care of us anytime that we came in because we always take care of you." I said, "So obviously your word ain't no good." I said, "Oh, by the way, if you can't afford your own goddamn restaurant, how are you going to afford to make one with Jimmy Cornette?" I said, "Your word ain't worth shit. You can't be trusted." I said, "There's some shady shit going on with you I don't know about." And I said, "I don't care." I said, "Because as long as your dad's the owner of that place, me and a lot of other people are never going to set foot in that fucking place again. And anybody that cares for me or loves me will never fucking eat at Clarksville Seafood again." I mean, that's a hard thing to ask people to do. Of course, Cornette don't want no heat. "Oh, what have you done, King? What have you done? Have you ruined the deal? Am I even welcome?" I said, "I told him you'd stand by me and you'd never eat their game." "Oh, don't be throwing my name around. Don't be dragging me in." I just, so Jimmy talks about loyalty and friendship when he got mad that I was doing shows with Vince Russo, won't even back me in a fish ban to where we won't eat at Clarksville Seafood anymore. But turns out Steve is such a coward that he won't call me and talk about the situation with his dad. And I don't give a fuck if I ever eat Clarksville Seafood again because it's highly likely that I won't. And I especially ain't going to fucking pay for the shit. I'll go to fucking Kingfish and save me a trip across the river and paying an $8 toll to go back and forth across a fucking state that I don't want to be in to begin with. So no, he fucked me over. You find out who your true friends are. And for 9 years, I thought he was. But I don't like my friends lying to me. If you've ran into some trouble and you don't own your place anymore, just fucking tell me. If you can't trade anymore, just tell me. That has happened from time to time. Kenny, corporate come down. They're pissed. They're not letting us do any trades, not only with you, but with anybody. That's fine. That's happened many times over the years. Just fucking be honest. That's all I ask you to do. And if I got something that I said I would do that I can't do, then I'll fucking confront you with it and tell you why I can't do what I said I'd do. That rarely ever happens. He didn't. So I want to block him, but I just want to see if he's ever going to be brave enough to fucking admit to me that he's a liar and why he lied and why his word ain't no fucking good. So I do that with people from time to time. And then I got other people, once I hear they're a Trump supporter, I just block them anyway because I know they're fucking idiots.
Well, speaking of idiots, I want to get into this week's Dumbass of the Year. It's a man who is a son of a Chinese billionaire. He bought his dog 8 iPhone 7s.
He bought his dog 8 iPhone 7s.
Yeah, the hottest iPhone out there right now. He bought.
Before we get into that, let me check with my contractor. Mr. Contractor, how we coming? We're good? Okay, you do know we're hanging all 3 of them in here, correct? You reckon so? That's fancy Southern Indiana talk for yes, sir. I reckon so. You're not eating at Clarksville Seafood anymore, are you? You ain't never ate there to begin with? Well, good. I think I can count on your support then. All right, James Franklin has never eaten at Clarksville Seafood again. You heard it here. He's never eaten here before, but he also will not eat there again. That's loyalty right there when he never fucking ate there to begin with. Now you got it figured out now, right? Prince, is that you? Maya, do you know where those instructions went to those shelves?
In the box.
He didn't see them. See, you get everything over here. The daughter-in-law and the son have shown up. Maya is the only person I think knows where the directions are to the shelves.
Who needs them?
Huh? Who needs them? Sounded like you did.
I thought I was going.
You thought you was going to, but you think you got this thing figured out now.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till you get done with what you're doing.
You're going to wait? Yeah, he's telling me a story about a person that bought 7 or 8 phones?
It was 8 iPhone 7s.
He bought 8 iPhone 7s for his dog.
For his dog?
For his dog. All right, well, give me the rest of that story and we'll talk about that.
What would you do that for?
Well, I'm about to find... See, even Franklin wants to know what the fuck would you do that for?
Apparently,
The man who was somewhat baffled by shelves he had never seen before wants to know why you would buy eight
just so they
iPhone
could
7s for a dog.
Apparently, just so they could take pictures on social media of it. They did the same thing with a pair of Apple Watches to the same dog.
Apple Watches for the same dog, huh?
Yeah. The kid's dad is worth $30 billion, and I guess he's
worth $30 billion?
Yeah, and he's known as the nation's husband in China.
Well, all I want is 2 million of his 30 billion. That breaks down to what? Just a fraction of a percent, I guess. I'm not greedy. I don't want 2 million, 1 million to pay taxes with. Yeah, right. And I'm like Donald Trump. I ain't paying no fucking taxes.
Well, since you're on a show that just called his son this week's Dumbass of the Year, I don't think that's happening. Yeah,
he would qualify for Dumbass of the Year without a doubt.
Yeah.
No, he's obviously a fucking idiot. I mean, of all the good that he could do with that money, and he's buying fucking phones for a dog, multiple phones for a dog,
just to take pictures.
Look at all of the hungry kids that he could have fed just with that money. Not to mention his $30 billion. What the fuck did he do to make $30 billion?
I have no idea. I've never heard of this guy before. I'd pronounce his name, but I can't. Wang something.
I'd like to know. I'd like to get his name and let him know that my name is Kenny Labrador Retriever, and then maybe he'll buy me something.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. If he thinks I'm a human dog, he might buy me something.
Did you want to plug the thing for Rico real quick before we go?
Yeah, let's do the Rico thing. Rico Constantino was one of my first wrestlers at Ohio Valley Wrestling, longtime dear friend. Matter of fact, he got me free Kingfish once by kissing the Kingfish manager. Got to the end of the night, our bill was about $100, and I said, "How much of a discount, Miss Manager, do you think you could get us on this?" Because she was over talking with us all night, and she pulls me aside. She says, "Is your friend single?" I said, "Well, what's it matter?" She says, really, it don't. She says, "But if he will kiss me, the better he kisses me, the more I'll make go off your bill."
That's a good deal.
So I pulled Rico over. I said, "Rico, you need to take one for the team here." I said, because this manager here, who wasn't bad looking, she was probably a 5 or a 6. I'll rate them like Donald Trump does. She was probably a 5 or a 6 for a older lady. She was older than us. And I'd say at that time she was probably in her mid 40s, and I was in my late 30s. Rico, I tell him what needs to be done to make some of this bill go away. He says, "Well,
some locker room talk, right?"
Locker room talk. That's all it was, locker room talk. Don't grab her by the pussy whatever you do. So don't do that. That'd be classless.
And ironically, that was told to a guy with the last name of Bush.
Yeah, the last name of Bush, exactly, and he's related to the presidential Bushes.
No shit.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Huh.
Chris, Billy Bush is related to the Bushes, isn't he? He's a nephew. Yeah, I thought I'd heard that. And nephew to the Bushes, and Trump is doing his locker room talk. So Rico says, "Well, King, I'll do my best." So he gets up and he goes off with the manager, and they go behind a wall. She's the GM of Kingfish. They go off behind a wall, and he's back there with her for, I guess, about 5 minutes. He comes back out, and he sits down at the table with us, and he says, "King, I did my best." I said, "We'll see how good you did as soon as this bill comes." The manager walks up to me just on her tippy toes almost. She's just so fucking thrilled. She lays the bill in front of me, and the bill says 000 comp.
Nice.
So that is how good he kissed the manager, is that about $116 bill went away because of what Rico did. But now Rico's having a real tough time now. He was in the WWE for several years as Rico the Stylist. He managed Billy and Chuck. And he was a cop and had 3 different jobs in Vegas after he left the WWE. He has 2 blood clots in his lungs. He's got a very, very bad heart issue going on to where his heart is not getting enough oxygen to his lungs. Very difficult for him to breathe, and has been near death probably 3 or 4 times over the last 9 months. So I found out that he's only eating 1 meal a day. He was about to lose his insurance. He was about to lose his house. No one was doing anything for him. So I went on and asked people, "Hey, if you've ever worked with Rico or you were a fan of Rico and you've got $5 to $25, that you could help out with. That's what we're trying to raise some money to help him save his insurance and his home and his car and to put some food on his table. So someone started a GoFundMe account. We don't know who they were. They ran a hotline or something. And apparently he's actually getting the money from one of them. One of them turned out to be bogus, but they only raised $154 before I got them shut down. And then where we prefer you send the money to. And like I said, man, don't do anything to hurt your own self. I've had some people tell me they can't afford $5. Then I should be doing a fundraiser for you if you can't afford $5. But the situation is that we're asking you to send money directly to his PayPal account. That way he gets it immediately, and he gets every dime. And his PayPal account is WWE Rico, RICO, Constantino, CONSTANTINO @gmail.com. Our goal was to raise him $10,000 between GoFundMe, mine, and the Cauliflower Alley Club. I think we've raised close to $7,000 for him. And really, fans, $10,000 is really barely going to touch what he needs, but it at least saves his insurance for a few months. It saves his house for a few months and puts some food on his table.
And this is a real thing. This isn't like the Bastard Foundation that we talked about in the last show. I mean, this is the actual serious.
Yeah. If you were going to donate, to the Bastard Foundation, we'll ask you to back off that and help out Rico. The Bastard Foundation is a whole separate entity. That's where Kenny Bolin has his youth in the finger in the youth of America. That's a whole different foundation. The Rico thing is very real. Chris Jericho sent him $3,000, and then not only that, went out to his home Sunday and did a 70-minute interview with him to promote his cause on Chris Jericho's podcast coming up in the near future on his show. I don't know when it airs, but Jericho said that he would notify me to let me know when. So that's the situation with Rico, and we're hoping, obviously, for the very best for him. And like I said, don't empty your bank accounts. Don't be fools. But if $5 to $25 doesn't affect your life, or even $100, many people, even around the world, have sent $100 that never knew him, never worked with him, had no reason to. They just wanted to help, and it's been much appreciated, much thanked. Rico who's never had a Facebook account in his life, has now opened one so he could thank the fans that have all helped him, and then some of the former wrestlers that have helped him. Those former wrestlers that have not helped him is John Cena, who he owes Rico his career to, because without Rico, there would have been no John Cena. You don't know it, but me and Jimmy Cornette and Danny Davis battled for your job because they wanted to let you go too, John. And you don't even know about that. But that's what happened. Vince McMahon didn't get you and wanted to let you go. He wanted to let Rico go. Stone Cold Steve Austin assisted us in saving Rico's job, which in parallel saved your job. The fact that you weren't the first one to step up just amazes me. Jericho barely, if ever, even worked with Rico. And here he donates $3,000 and goes to his home and puts him on his podcast. That's Chris Jericho for you. So that's the difference in some people and the difference in others. I guarantee you $100 from me would be like maybe $1 million from John Cena. And we're not asking for $1 million, John. We're just asking you to help the guy out some. So, partner, I hate to wrap it up on a note like that. Anybody who wants my merchandise, just go to friend me at Facebook, /StarMaker Bolin. Or if you're only on Twitter, it's at StarMaker Bolin. And if you want any of my T-shirts, the BS shirts, my book, the microphone I'm on now, the Bolin Media microphones, my book, I Probably Screwed You Too, countless DVDs that have lots. As a matter of fact, there's one dual set DVD of nothing but me and John Cena. It's a 2-disc set that's 8 hours long. We got a decade of BS that's 6 hours long. So if you want to see any of the stuff I do, feel free to contact me and I'll get you the best price I can. The more you buy, the bigger discount you get. And the less you buy, fuck you. So that's kind of how that goes. But right now, I want people to focus their attention on helping Rico. If you are a fan, know who he is, have worked with him, he needs your help more than I do. And I've got surgery coming up November 8th. It's going to be pretty serious. And I'm putting Rico's needs way ahead of mine. So if that tells you how serious the things are with Rico. My contractor's probably ready to kill me because he needs to get in here to hang these shelves. I didn't give a fuck if he did it while we was doing a show. I thought it would have been funny, to be honest with you. We'll hop off here for now, and we'll do another one real soon down the road. And in the meantime, I did say good day.
All right. I want to thank my friend Kenny Bolin for being on the show. It was a very interesting show. If you're a new listener and you're listening because Kenny was on the show, make sure you subscribe because he's on here about once a month. Before I go, I forgot to mention during the episode with Mike Canistero called Not Making It, I played a listener voicemail, and I always said that if I played a voicemail, that I would read the transcript because I thought it would be funny because they're usually way off. Turns out it's pretty damn close now, so that's why I didn't read that. And plus the voicemail was roughly 2 minutes, and I thought, well, it would be a lot to play the 2-minute voicemail and then have me read the transcription that isn't that far off, so I just opted not to do it. But if you want to contact the show, you can always email me, jason@wedon'thavecookies.com, or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail of your own that I might play on the show. Speaking of which, I have another voicemail that I'm going to play on next week's episode. That week, my guest will be Mike Morris. Should be a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll talk to you next Monday.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review.
Well, we ain't gonna get to your risers today.
Well, fuck you.